The folic acid in your prenatal vitamin, in your fortified cereal, in the bread on your kitchen counter, is a molecule that exists nowhere in nature. It's synthetic, a locked precursor your body has to switch on before it can use it. And whether those switches work well is written into your genes. For a large slice of people, the very same daily dose that protects one person does almost nothing inside their cells, and pushing that dose higher can quietly make things worse. To see why, it helps to know what folate is actually for. Folate, vitamin B9, works alongside vitamins B6 and B12 to run something called one-carbon metabolism. Think of it as the cell's chemistry set for building and repairing DNA, and for methylation, more than 100 reactions that switch genes and proteins on and off. These three vitamins are so tightly linked that you can't understand one without the other two. And when the system runs short, the fallout is serious. Neural tube defects in a developing baby, a distinct kind of anemia, and rising long-term risk to the heart and the aging brain. Here's the catch with the synthetic form. Natural folate, the kind in leafy greens and legumes, arrives mostly ready to use. Folic acid does not. It's a provitamin, and it needs 2 rounds of chemical reduction, carried out by an enzyme called DHFR, before it becomes the active folate a cell can actually work with. And that enzyme's activity varies at least 6-fold from one person to the next. When it runs slow, unprocessed folic acid backs up in the blood, and the cell can show signs of folate deficiency, even while you're dutifully taking plenty. Then there is the most talked about folate gene of all, MTHFR. It builds the enzyme that makes the methyl form of folate, the version your body leans on to clear homocysteine, a compound that scrapes at your blood vessels when it climbs too high. The best-known MTHFR variant produces a wobblier, less stable enzyme that simply works less. In its double-dose form, it's carried by roughly 5 to 20% of people of European descent, the single most common inherited glitch in folate metabolism. It's linked to mildly raised homocysteine and a higher risk of heart disease and stroke, and that risk sharpens when folate is already low. The reassuring part is that milder cases can usually be corrected with enough folate. Now for the genuine paradox. That activation enzyme, DHFR, carries a common deletion, a tiny stretch of missing DNA. In some populations, nearly half of people carry 2 copies of it. In the United States, around 1 in 5. And its effect cuts both ways. Take in a lot of folic acid, above 500 micrograms a day, and these individuals pile up more of the unprocessed vitamin in their blood. Take in too little, under 250, and their red cell folate runs lower than everyone else's, which leads somewhere deeply counterintuitive. A sizable group of people carrying this variant, who already start out low, may get very little benefit from simply swallowing more folic acid. And folic acid can quietly mask a second problem. To spend that methyl form of folate, the cell absolutely needs vitamin B12. Without enough of it, folate gets stranded in that one form and can't recycle, a dead end named the folate trap. Around 40% of your homocysteine is cleared through this single B12-dependent step. Worse still, extra folic acid can paper over the blood signs of a B12 deficiency while nerve damage keeps advancing underneath. And some people carry variants that leave B12 looking perfectly normal on a blood test while their cells are actually going hungry. So the form of folate you take is anything but a small detail. The active methyl form absorbs better, lifts folate levels more effectively, and skips that sluggish activation step altogether. Another form, folinic acid, sidesteps both the activation enzyme and the folate trap. But there is no clean, universal winner. Folic acid is still the only form proven to prevent neural tube defects, and even the methyl form only delivers if your B12 and the enzymes downstream of it are up to the job. So the same small pill really can land in 2 different bodies and do 2 entirely different things. The number on the label was never the whole story. The form of the vitamin, the state of your other B vitamins, and the quiet wording of your own genes together decide what actually reaches your cells. As genetic testing moves out of the lab and into ordinary care, the real question stops being how much folate you take and becomes which folate your body was built to use.